One thing that's very important is to understand your own personal level of risk tolerance. How much risk can you take in your investment portfolio? And there's different tools out there, and I came across one that kind of is a real simple way to kind of get a feel for your level of risk tolerance and maybe see where you're at and confirm where maybe you're at too as well. So I took this quiz. I'm going to show it to you, and I'll show you where to find it coming up on Investing Education with me, Mr. B. Okay, I'm over at Ameriprise.com, which actually provides this. They do financial planning and all that, but this is a free thing that you can kind of do. This is in an article on Guide to Investment Risk Tolerance. They have a nice little infographic here too that you can kind of just answer some questions and get a feel for. But one thing I found interesting was down here where it says take the risk tolerance quiz. So let's do that. I haven't done it yet. I just took a quick look at it, made sure I didn't have to give my email, which I don't, so that's good. So let's take the risk tolerance quiz and see how we're doing. By the way, I think I'm more of a moderately aggressive in terms of my risk tolerance. That's where I might be. Maybe more moderate, but moderately aggressive. Used to be much more aggressive, but now that I'm financially independent and all that, I'm more moderately aggressive. But let's see if that's what I really am when I take the quiz and see if I'm surprised by this. So I'm just going to click on this, and it's really just simple. You just answer some questions here. So let's answer these together real quickly. There's only like 5 questions, all right? So it won't be so bad, right? So that's not kind of nice too. So in general, investments that have potential to generate higher returns are also more risky. Yeah. Only the more time, the more like it is. Okay, so that's just a little description. So what are your goals for your investments? Do you want your investments to grow aggressively, significantly, moderately, grow with caution, or I just don't want to lose money? So I'm more of I want them to grow aggressively, actually, at least significantly, but I like aggressive growth. Under normal market conditions, and I'm willing to take more losses too with that aggressive growth. Under normal market conditions, what would you expect from your investments over time? Keep pace with the stock market. So this is talking about stock market. To slightly trail the stock market, but make good profit. Trail the stock market, moderate profit, modest profit, or small profit. So you can kind of see the continuum there. So, I don't necessarily have to keep pace. Well, I do want to keep, or I'm going to choose keep pace with this. We'll see how moderately I'm going to be. So far, I seem like I'm probably going to be pretty aggressive. Suppose stock market performs usually poorly over the next decade. What would you expect from your investments? All right, so this is a really good question for risk tolerance. You're going to have poor performance over a decade, which is a very long time in terms of, you don't usually see it like that, but what would you expect if it was poor performance a decade? Lose money, make very little or nothing, eke out a little gain, have a modest gain, be a little affected. So stock market performs poorly. I would say make very little or nothing because I'm heavy in stock. So I'm going to say lose money, but I also have some bonds, I have crypto, I have some other things too that can offset but for me, I'm very heavy in stock, so I know this. But for others, it might be like, I don't want to lose money. I don't want to be affected at all by the stock market or whatever. So I could say eke out a little gain, but I'm going to say make very little or nothing if it performed unusually poorly. That was the key there for me, was unusually poorly. If it was just poorly, maybe I can eke out a little gain. I'm hoping he'll be better than that, but that's what they're trying to get a feel for your risk tolerance. It'd be kind of like, do you think Martians are going to land on Earth, and how would that affect your stock portfolio? Well, it's probably not going to happen, but it's probably going to be bad for the stock portfolio. Which of these statements would, unless they have some cures, like some medical cures, maybe that'd be good for certain things. I don't know. So which of these statements would best describe your attitude about the next 3 years' performance of your investments? All right, that's like what's going on right now. How do I think about the next 3 years? I don't mind if I lose money. I can tolerate loss. Small loss. I have a hard time tolerating any losses. I can tolerate a loss. I do mind if I lose money, but I can tolerate a loss. I'd actually be more like, I'd only want a small loss. I'm certainly over the next 3 years, all right? Which of these statements would best describe your attitude about the next 3 months of performance of your investments? Who cares? One calendar quarter means nothing. I wouldn't worry about losses in that time frame. Start loss greater than 10%, I'd be concerned over the next 10% over the next 3 months. And we've had months where we've lost more than 10% in a month, and sometimes even in like a week or so. I think back in the early days of COVID, I can only tolerate small short-term losses. So I have a hard time stomaching any losses. I don't want to say who cares. A quarter means nothing. But I certainly wouldn't worry about losses in that time frame. I mean, if it was significant, I might be a little, concerned about it. Maybe I need to look at my investments. If anything, when I'm having these kind of losses, I'm looking for buying opportunities, actually. So I would be more in that category. I wouldn't mind if there's losses in that time. It's only 3 months. That's not unusual at all, especially if you're depending where you're at, if you're more of an aggressive investor. Again, you might be answering this completely differently. So let's see what it says. I think I'm moderately aggressive. We're going to hit the submit button, and let's see what it says. Based on the answers you gave, oh, here I am. I know myself. Was it Socrates that said, know thyself, know yourself? Moderately aggressive. I am seeking relatively high return potential and willing to accept a relatively high fluctuation and potential substantial loss in my account value, right? So you can see here the different choices you have, but that's what I would think I was too. So was I surprised? No, I wasn't surprised. And answering the 5 questions, I wasn't really surprised the way the questions were oriented. I mean, they started looking pretty obvious there. But I think a key takeaway is just 2 big key takeaways. One, I love the fact that I didn't have to give them my email or sign up for something or agree to a financial planning meeting. I can just go here, answer 5 questions, and get a quick little view. So that's really helpful. And the second thing too, that this can be helpful, is if you have a partner or a spouse that you're kind of investing together with as part of maybe a family or a partner type situation, whatever you have, where it's just more than just you, have your partner do this as well, and make sure they have a good feeling for loss and talk about those things. I know early on, especially with my wife and I, the lovely Helena, I was much more aggressive than she was. She'd be in the moderately conservative area, was where she would probably fall. She's since moved up to moderate, but she's still not moderately aggressive like me. So that can really help as far as discussions, can help you have a better relationship too. Because one of the key problems with relationships sometimes is around money, and not just spending money, but also investing money. So there's a little thing I'll have in the link below. I have free courses and other things in the link in the description below as well. Check those out. And if you like these kind of videos where we help you to become a successful and confident investor, hey, do click that subscribe button. Other than that, go take the quiz and see how you do.